in terms of McDavid, we were just having that chat, like how much is on the line for him tomorrow night. And, this isn't going to bring you back to the spring. And if he plays great and they win, all of a sudden that means it makes up for what happened against Florida or whatever. But in Edmonton, I'm curious what that view is, because the rest of the country looks at him like, all right, finally we get to root for this guy. Like, he's on our team here. We have McDavid playing for our team. Where if you're an Oiler fan, you've had that luxury for 10 years now. If he plays great and they win tomorrow, what do you think it means for McDavid and his legacy?
I mean, I don't have this up there with the Stanley Cup or the Olympics. And that's, it's probably somewhere around the World Championships, below the Spengler Cup. And when you're trying to, look at it, look at it from his legacy. I think it's better, obviously, to win than to lose. But I think an Olympic gold or a Stanley Cup ranks way above it than what this is. Like, when you think back to Wayne Gretzky, that '87 Canada Cup, that was a pretty big one. Mm-hmm. But he had a few Stanley Cups kicking around also in his back pocket. So I think it'd be nice if they won, but I don't know if this is just Connor McDavid having to win it. I think Canada's important for them to win, right? There's a little bit of doubt right now, that Canada lost to U.S., and the U.S. talks a lot about how good they're getting and how much better they are, and that's kind of what Americans do. So I think it's an opportunity for Canada to prove that we are still the better hockey nation at the highest level.
Yeah, big time. I think the pressure's totally on the Americans, like almost 100% on the Americans, because of what you just said. They're talking.
I don't know,
this big
Hazy.
game.
It's like the blowback of what the World Junior performance the last couple of years, and it's like the idea of the U.S. overtaking Canada as the top hockey nation. You think the players want to deal with that?
Well,
I
it obviously wouldn't be ideal, clearly, but I think if you're Canadian and you have perspective, the Americans have not won anything ever. They won the '96 World Cup, and now maybe they'd win this. They've never won Olympic gold. They don't, they're juniors. They come and go. Canada's always owned that tournament, clearly. So I think this is for the Americans. Now it's on home soil. It's in Boston. They've set the tone. They're talking a big game. They're claiming it's all about them, and they got to go prove that. Like, I think if Canada wins tomorrow, people will be relieved and it will be awesome, and that's cool. But it's not going to change pressure or change, anything in terms of the landscape of the sport. Or if the Americans do it, this is where the pressure comes into play. They can actually puff their chest out and say, see, we told you. Like, we're legit here, and now we're going to the Olympic Games, and we're going to do it again. So for me, they're the ones without the hockey history. Canada has all the history. We're the hockey country. They got to prove that they have caught up. Can't just talk about it. You can't just win group stage games. You got to win a big one, and it's the biggest tomorrow night. That's as big as it's going to get for them in terms of this generation, because they haven't had best on best in a long, long time.
Yeah, and I agree with you there, but I think that there'd be reaction if Canada loses. There'll be a reaction within our community, within our country for sure, and there'll be someone who may be a scapegoat. And I think that, probably people look at the net minding will probably be one area that, and not to pick on Bennington, but, be like, why is our goaltender not as elite as what the Americans can bring? Or if the Russians were here, or, Sweden, even though they didn't have Markstrom, like, there's some pretty good goaltending. And I don't know that we have an elite goalie right now. And maybe he is in Washington, but he didn't come, at least for this year. So I think that would be something that the conversation will be around if this doesn't work, especially if he lets in a week 1 or 2 tonight and his Hellebuck doesn't.